In this video, we got another episode of the Start Bench Cut series. If you guys don't know what this is, basically you guys will let me know 3 different players on Twitter at X7Tanaka. You guys can see a bunch of people did respond, with 3 different players, and I'll tell you guys which player I'd start, which player I'd bench, and then which player I'd cut. So for example, the first one here is from Blasian. He says Clay, Dr. J, and Scottie Pippen. So I'll have to tell you guys who I would start, who I would bench, and then who I would cut out of these 3 players. So if you guys also want to let me know down below on the YouTube comment section, let me know 3 different players, and I'll tell you guys who I would start, who I would bench, and then who I would cut as well. But looking at the first one here, like I said, from Blasian at the shooting guard spot is going to be Klay Thompson, Dr. J, and Scottie Pippen. For me, I think Pippen is more of a small forward, but at the shooting guard spot, I would still probably start him over guys like Dr. J and Klay. And then between Klay Thompson and Dr. J, I think that is somewhat close of a debate. I think stats wise and badges wise, I would have to give the nod to the dark matter, obviously being Dr. J. Like stats wise, yeah, I would say, yeah, definitely, driving dunk and inside scoring goes to Dr. J. And then, yeah, like playmaking, athleticism. Yeah, so I would say, honestly, I would probably take Dr. J, even though Klay does have a better jump shot, has a little bit better dribble sigs, but honestly, not by that much. So yeah, I would start Scottie Pippen, bench Dr. J, and then cut Klay Thompson. I think you can be super elite with Klay if you know how to use him right, but I'd say for most people, I would probably take Dr. J over Klay Thompson. Next one is going to be Pink Diamond Russ, Lonzo Ball, and Magic Johnson. So a little bit different of 3 different players. Like Lonzo and Russ, I don't think are really that great of point guards anymore. Russ is definitely the better offensive point guard. Lonzo is obviously the better defensive one. For me, it's definitely going to be starting Magic Johnson. Even though it's his pink diamond version, he's still one of the best point guards in the game. Between Russ and Lonzo, it's a really hard comparison because I feel like it just really depends what you need on the court. If you're looking for an offensive guy that can be a really good rim runner, then you obviously go with Russell Westbrook. He's got a 95 driving dunk. He's super fast and able to get to the rim pretty much like no other guard. But then if you're looking for more defense, you want a little bit more height, then you go Lonzo Ball. I would say for most people, they'd probably rather the taller point guard. So for this one, I would say start Magic Johnson, bench Lonzo Ball, and then cut Russell Westbrook. But like I said, honestly, does depend on what you need from your point guard, and if you're looking for more offense, then you could definitely bench Russ and cut Lonzo Ball. Next one is going to be Tim Thomas, Zion Williamson, and Carmelo Anthony, obviously going to be at the small forward position, I do believe. So this one obviously going to be starting Tim Thomas. I do think he still is the best small forward in the game, but between Zion and Carmelo, I think it's probably got to be Zion starting over Carmelo Anthony, just because I think Carmelo is probably better at that shooting guard position. Zion is 6'7" at the small forward position, a little bit undersized, you could say. Like Carmelo's actually taller, being 6'8", but I would just recommend playing Carmelo at the shooting guard position. I would say Zion, at least stats wise, is maybe a little bit more well-rounded than a guy like Carmelo Anthony, and sigs wise, he's also got the Steve Francis size up. Jump shot, Carmelo's got a way better release. I think it's honestly a closer debate than I thought it was, but I would still probably take Zion at the small forward position. So for this one, I would start Tim Thomas, bench Zion, and then cut Carmelo Anthony. Next one is going to be Cliff Robinson. I'm not exactly sure who that is. Who's Cliff Robinson? Oh, is that the new pink diamond from yesterday? Yeah, Cliff Robinson. He's actually not that bad of a power forward. I don't think he's really amazing, but the other two are going to be Karl Malone and Joe Smith. So Joe Smith, honestly, I feel like is a close debate between Cliff Robinson. Karl Malone definitely going to be starting. I think he's an amazing power forward, got a great jump shot, on very quick timing, and overall great stats, especially on the defensive end. So for this one, I would definitely start Karl Malone. Power forward, I'm not exactly sure if I like Joe Smith that much at the power forward position. I do think he's a way better small forward. I mean, he is about the same height and does have a taller wingspan, longer wingspan, I should say, than Cliff Robinson. So I would probably still give the nod to Joe Smith. He's going to have better all-around stats. He's got a better jump shot by a decent amount, even though actually Cliff Robinson base, Chris Smalling, Kobe Bryant up around quick could actually be a better jump shot. I would still probably take I would still probably take Joe Smith over a guy like Cliff Robinson. For this one, I would start Karl Malone, bench Joe Smith, and then cut Cliff Robinson. Next one is going to be Pink Diamond, Melo, Tatum, and Tim Thomas at small forward. For me, this one's pretty simple. Obviously going to be starting Tim Thomas, best small forward in the game, still one of the best cards in my team. And then Tatum and Melo. If it was the Opal Melo, I think that becomes a little bit more of a debate, but easily going to start bench Tatum and then cut Pink Diamond Melo. If it was Opal, I think that's a very close debate at the small forward spot. Next one is going to be at center, Opal Pau Gasol, Opal Marc Gasol, and dark matter Tim Duncan. This one is actually very close because Pau Gasol and Marc Gasol at the center position, I do think is somewhat of a close debate. I probably lean towards saying Marc Gasol is the better center, but Pau Gasol might be the better card. I mean, they're both around the same height and wingspan as well. Badge count goes to, I mean, I guess you would say Pau Gasol by a little bit, having 5 more Hall of Fame badges. Stats wise, it looks like Pau might be slightly better on the offensive end, a little bit faster, has a little bit better finishing numbers, and then Marc Gasol looks to be the better defender by a tiny bit, but honestly, I think stats-wise is very similar. The biggest difference is probably the plus 26 ball handle on Pau Gasol, but then when we go to the animations, I think Marc Gasol's jump shot is a decent amount better, and he's also got the MJ dribble style and the Kobe Bryant escape. So at center, I would probably start Marc Gasol, bench Pau Gasol, and then dark matter Tim Duncan. I mean, I think he's probably better at power forward nowadays. The jump shot's just a little bit too slow. So I think for me, I would start Marc Gasol, bench Pau Gasol, start Marc Gasol, bench Pau, and then cut Tim Duncan. I think Tim and Pau you could make somewhat of a debate for, but I do think Pau at the center position is going to be slightly better. Next one is going to be Vince Carter, Carmelo Anthony, and Scottie Pippen. This one is definitely a lot closer. It's really between Scottie Pippen and Vince of who I'm going to start and bench. I think you have to cut Melo. He's not a bad shooting guard, but I think Scottie and Vince are just on a whole nother level. I think at the shooting guard position, I would probably take Vince Carter over Scottie Pippen, but as a card, I do think Scottie Pippen is probably a little bit better. And just because he's super versatile, able to play the small forward position and be super elite, and maybe even the second best small forward in the game, maybe even the best over a guy like Tim Thomas, depending on what you need. So for me, I think at shooting guard, I would start Vince Carter, bench Scottie Pippen, and then cut Carmelo Anthony. This next one from Peyton is legit the top 3 shooting guards in the game, and I'm still kind of confused of who I want to go with. I still think Ray Allen is the best shooting guard in my team. I think it's a very close debate between Vince Carter and obviously Pippen as well. Like I said, these are legit the 3 best shooting guards in the game. So it's a very close debate. Like, I mean, the way I kind of view Vince Carter and Ray Allen, the way that I kind of debate the two is defensively, I think Vince Carter is slightly better than Ray, but I don't think it's noticeable enough that you're going to be like, yo, Vince Carter's like so much better of a defender. Like, they're very, very similar on the defensive end. Vince probably has a little bit better of a player model and an inch taller and an inch on the wingspan. When we go to the animations, I think this is the biggest difference because jump shot, I think it really comes down to preference. I like Ray Allen's release a lot more in the catch and shoot and off the dribble, just in my opinion, and he's got the normal leaner as well, so that's something definitely to note. But the biggest difference is the Steve Francis size up compared to the D Fox size up. It's a pretty big difference. I think Steve Francis is easily the best size up in the game, and you'll notice a massive difference. And he's also got the Kawhi Leonard defensive stance. The motion style is basically their defensive stance, so that is a lot better having Kawhi Leonard, which is the best defensive stance in my team. So for me, I would start Ray Allen. I do think he's the best shooting guard in the game. For me though, I would start Ray Allen, bench Vince Carter, and then cut Scottie Pippen. Like I said, at the shooting guard position, I think Scottie is probably a better card than Vince Carter and maybe even Ray Allen, but I do think at shooting guard, I would start Ray Allen, bench Vince Carter, and cut Scottie Pippen. Next one is going to be dark matter Tim Duncan, Giannis, and KG. I'm assuming at the power forward position. For me, this one is somewhat easy. KG obviously going to be starting, easily the best power forward in my team. Now between Tim Thomas and Giannis, I do think it's actually Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan and Giannis, I think, is somewhat of a close debate. I mean, at the power forward position, I'm probably taking Giannis over Tim. I think Tim is maybe a better center position. Like for this one, I would say I'm not exactly sure who's better at power forward, Giannis or Tim Duncan. I think that's a really close debate because they both have similar flaws where their jump shots just aren't great, but they are going to give you really good defense. So for me, I would say start Kevin Garnett, bench Giannis, and then cut Tim Duncan. But honestly, I do think it's a very close debate. Next one is going to be Galaxy Ball Magic, Galaxy Ball Ben Simmons, and Galaxy Ball Don Ole at the point guard spot. For me, definitely going to be cutting Don Ole. I think he's not a bad point guard, but just not going to be on the same level as Magic and Ben. I think these are the 2 best point guards in the game, and it's definitely a very close debate for me. I personally like Magic Johnson because once again, he's got that Steve Francis size up, which is a massive difference at pretty much any position. And he also does have maybe a better jump shot and a way higher 3-ball. Ben probably gives you more defense than Magic, but I would say start Magic Johnson, bench Ben Simmons, and then cut Don Ole. Next one is going to be Jason Kidd, Tyreke Evans, and Spencer Dinwiddie. 3 like very similar point guards. I mean, Jason Kidd's a little bit different than Tyreke and Dinwiddie. Tyreke and Dinwiddie are very, very similar. I would say probably start Tyreke Evans, bench Jason Kidd, and then cut Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't know, Spencer Dinwiddie isn't that great in my opinion. I think J Kidd is such a good defender, and Tyreke Evans all around is a really good point guard. So that's what I'd say for these 3. Next one is going to be LeBron, AK, and Joe Smith. And this might be the closest one besides like Vince, Ray, and Pippen. This honestly might be the closest one because for me, I think at small forward, it's between LeBron and AK. I do like Joe Smith a lot too. That's the thing. I think all of these guys are very, very close at the small forward position. I mean, LeBron and AK legit to me feel like the exact same card. I mean, AK is going to have way better defensive stats. LeBron, I think, is better on the offensive end. He's got like a +7 speed with ball. He's got +6 speed, +6 acceleration, +17 driving dunk. So I think it's pretty safe to say AK is the better defender than LeBron. And I would say LeBron's better on the offensive end. When you go to the animation screen, I think LeBron has the better jump shot, but it might be a little bit slower because AK's got it on quick timing. And dribble stakes wise, AK does have the MJ dribble style. Badge count wise, very close. Once again, LeBron's got 8 more golds and AK has two more hops. I think this is a very close debate, and even with Joe Smith as well, I think I'm gonna say start LeBron, bench AK, cut Joe Smith. That's kind of how I would do it, but honestly I think it's so close and you could really flip-flop those 3 any way you want to. And then the last one here in the video, guys, is going to be Candyman, D-Rob, and Tim Duncan. I think at the center position it's really between the Candyman and D-Rob. Tim Duncan I think is probably better at power forward comparing, you know, to these 2 guys. So I would say start D-Rob, bench Candyman, and then cut Tim Duncan. But guys, let me know in the comment section down below. Like I said at the start, 3 different players. Let me know in the YouTube comment section. I'll tell you guys who I would start, who I'd bench, and then who I would cut. But hopefully you guys did enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.